Thanks so much for joining us today on our webinar on unlocking learning with Chromebooks and Mobile Guardian. We do appreciate you taking some time to come have a look at some of the exciting ways Mobile Guardian's really plugged into schools over the last, I would say, for the last few years, but specifically now with this blended learning environment and schools being forced to send Chromebooks home. We're excited to be sharing some of our successes with this product and the opportunity to introduce an awesome solution to not only managing Chromebooks in your organization, but also enabling teachers to make proper use of these devices and give them some control when devices are either in class or outside of class. So my name's Dave. I'm the Business Development Manager here for Mobile Guardian. And I'm really, really excited to give you a quick introduction to Mobile Guardian for Chromebooks. So just some housekeeping before we kick off. If you could just pop off your camera if you haven't already, and just make sure you are muted on your microphone. It'll just help with obviously keeping continuity. My colleague Nick is in the chat, and all questions that you have, please feel free to pop them into the chat. Nick will pop them in a document for me, and I'll run through them at the end of the webinar. It'll just help the flow once again. And as I said before, this is being recorded, so if you do need a copy of it, we'll send it out afterwards, or you can just head over to YouTube to our channel, and you'll find today's webinar there. So quick introduction and welcome to what I'll be covering today. So just a short introduction to Mobile Guardian, who we are, where we've come from, some intro around Chromebook device management, some of the challenges we've run into over the past few months, the add-ons that we've applied in schools, especially now during this, this weird kind of time we find ourselves in around the classroom management tool. So, giving teachers the tools to be able to get a digital window into these devices, see what they're doing at all times. Our cloud-based web filtering tool, which allows you to take all your e-policies that you've got within a school and make sure that when these devices are at home, at a coffee shop, that your e-policies and rules are always applied to these devices, no matter where they're connected from. As well as our linked parent dashboard, which is one of our, one of our newer tools that's getting a bit of traction. And what it is essentially allowing parents to have a level of control on web filtering when the devices are at home. So, parents can now create their own browsing environments at home on these Chromebooks and make sure that at all times these devices are covered. And then at the end, we'll just do a quick Q&A and a bit of a conclusion on how you can sign up for a free trial even for Mobile Guardian. So Mobile Guardian, we're a cloud-based mobile device management software purpose-built for education, and really allows schools the flexibility and security needed in order to manage on-site and off-site devices. We've evolved this product with the guidance and insight from teachers and school IT admins over the past decade, which has enabled us to have a simple yet powerful tool that can be managed by pretty much anyone within the school. So I think the beauty of Mobile Guardian, it can be used by different users, whether it's an IT admin that's just looking to get information on the device, or build a cloud-based web filter that can be used outside of school, or even a teacher that is perhaps tasked with looking after these devices, not so confident in the Chrome console and would prefer to be able to push some rules and policies through Mobile Guardian. It's really built with that in mind, to be able to allow someone within the organization, whether they are entry level or whether they're a more advanced user, to be able to manage multiple devices within an environment. We also support iOS devices with a really cool iOS tool, our Android tool, and today's focus, obviously, our Chromebook MDM and classroom management side. We have a great online support team and a really powerful knowledge base as well that our clients depend on during the crucial setup. So we're here every step of the way, from getting you onboarded, getting you set up, getting your devices on, and then helping you along the way. We have a great support team here that assists with that throughout your journey. And then what specifically do we offer in terms of, the Chromebook, with Chromebooks and this blended learning environment, specifically around our classroom tools and the ability, like I said, for teachers to really make use of these Chromebooks in class and not see it as a distraction and more as a learning aid and a learning tool in classes, plugging in the web filtering. If you're a district or you have multiple schools under you, the ability to manage multiple schools from one dashboard is quite handy, to be able to flick through your different schools if you're an admin, as well as the linked parent dashboard. And going a bit further than that, you'll see as well our activity tracker, just being able to see what's happening, what students are browsing on within a class. There's some really powerful tools that schools are already taking advantage of with Mobile Guardian. So just a little bit on myself. As I mentioned, my name's David. And I'll just provide a quick outline of setting up a distance learning online environment. I actually come from a digital transformation background in the corporate sector, and I'm now bringing that experience over to the educational sector as schools are looking to make this transition, and where we are now, helping drive that transformation and making sure that, when schools spend the money on these devices, that they're getting real value from it. So let's take a short intro into Mobile Guardian for Chromebooks and kind of some of the challenges that have sprung up, especially over the last few months with this blended learning environment. So one of the challenges being is, these devices at school, you've got school-owned devices or one-to-one devices. When they're at school, you've got a nice firewall set up. Everything's fine. You can manage it through the Chrome console. But as soon as these devices are now leaving school and leaving the premises, they're almost in the wild and able to access anything. So a big challenge that has come across and more pertinent recently is, how do we lock these devices down once they leave school? How do we make sure that when it's not in the local environment, that students can still access the classroom tools, students can still access anything they need, but also not be able to access pornography, adult content, anything like that? How do we make sure that these devices are always secure and adhering to our e-policies? And then the second part of that is using Chromebooks in a class environment. It's already a challenge with devices in class. Like I said earlier, I think sometimes teachers see these devices as a distraction and not as a tool, as it should be, and being able to get that digital window and to be able to see what students are doing in real time. Are they on the right task? Are they on Netflix? Are they on YouTube? And being able to manage that in a classroom is difficult enough. How do you now do that when these devices are 10 kilometers down the road? How do you make sure that Johnny is on the classroom activity that he needs to be? And that's some of the challenges schools have had in keeping that continuity, keeping kids on track. And then obviously with Mobile Guardian, some of the ways that we plug into that is obviously with the Google Education Suite. So because we're also a Google for Education partner, it really allows us to build a product and have built a product that syncs so well with Google for Education. So a lot of how we set up our tool and we set up our software is ease of use. So, once you've got it set up in Chrome, we actually connect with something called a JSON file, and this brings your data across. So you're able to sync across your OUs that you've set up. So you don't have to go ahead and set up Mobile Guardian again, and you can actually pull all that data across. And as soon as that student signs in, it will then apply these profiles and restrictions as you want them to be. So, making that mix of Google for Education, and there's some parts of Google for Education that where they're lacking, specifically around the web filter, where Mobile Guardian plugs in so well to create quite a well-rounded tool to manage these and most importantly, get the most out of your investment from these Chromebooks. We further extend this, like I said, with time-based profiles. And what a time-based profile is, when these devices are at school, you want them to behave in a specific way. So that way might be no Instagram, no YouTube, no Facebook, anything like that. You only want them to be able to access, Google Classroom and anything to do with that. But when these devices go home, perhaps you want them to be a little bit more relaxed and allow the students to be able to browse the internet in a more free environment. So being able to then allow Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, when it's outside of that school zone, you're able to build these types of profiles. More importantly is device location tracking. And, with these devices going home, it's so important from an admin point of view and a school's point of view to know where these devices are. If one gets lost, what was the last known location of this device? Just knowing the movement as it moves around and connects to different known networks, having that information is so important. And then obviously the classroom tools, which I'm going to give you a quick demo, the web filtering tools, and even the activity timeline that shows you, like I was talking about, what students are doing during the class, giving teachers those tools again to be able to retroactively see which students might need a bit of extra help or what students were doing during the lesson to make these tools work a lot better. So Very, very exciting. And I think where I'm going to kick off today is our classroom management tool. And I think this is really somewhere where Mobile Guardian shines, especially on Chromebooks. I'm talking a lot about Chromebooks being a distraction in class. And I think that's sometimes where teachers fall off the rails a bit when it comes to seeing these devices as tools and not a distraction. So what classroom management is essentially it's a portal for your teachers to be able to facilitate learning and using these Chromebooks as a tool. It's not designed to replace Google Classroom. It's designed to work alongside Google Classroom. So if you already have Classroom set up, teachers have gone through the effort of setting up classes, adding users, you're able to actually sync this across to Mobile Guardian, and the classes will appear for that same teacher when they log in. Excuse me. Even if you don't make use of Google Classroom, it's not a train smash. Teachers can still go in and add classes and design it how they would want to be. But once again, with that integration with Google for Education, you're able to just sync that work that you've put in before a class, bring it over and have access. And what this is going to allow the teacher to do when I join this class over here is dependent obviously on the amount of users in this class. If there were 10 users in this class, you would see 10 of these screens. But what I'm seeing here in front of me with this tool is the ability to see what's going on this Chromebook in real time. So I can get now a digital window into what the student is browsing, what the student is doing on this device. So if they go ahead and type in YouTube, I can see exactly at all times what the student's doing on this device. And you can understand, now for a teacher to stand here, and let's say, for example, all the students needed to be on a website, for example, better example, the students should be on this application that I'm launching here, and every other student's on this application, but good old Kate over here is actually on YouTube. The teacher can now see what's happening and take some corrective measures. She's able to say, allow the student to self-correct and say, off YouTube, for example, and this will push this down to the device, and a message will pop up on the child's device. So this Chromebook's actually sitting right next to me, and it'll say, get off YouTube, please don't do that. Another great way to manage classes and see what's going on and what students are browsing is our tabs functionality over here. And what tabs allows you to do, and I just want to open up another tab. Just give me a second. I just want to open Wikipedia. What this allows the teacher to do, if there's 10 to 15 devices, she can very quickly see what devices are connected to the web page that she wants them to be. So if she jumps in here and she sees, okay, everyone, there's 9 devices on Wikipedia, for example, and there's 1 device on YouTube, you can open up and see exactly who's on YouTube, and then also take corrective measure from there and take whatever method you'd like to do it. One way to do it is to actually just jump straight in to this profile here of Kate and just simply close YouTube. So the teacher can take control, close that tab and push it to the tab that she would like her to go to, and then effectively move Kate back to where she needs to be if she perhaps doesn't listen to the message inside. Let's say Kate continues to not listen and go on YouTube, but the teacher's busy with another student. What the teacher can then do is also put Kate into something called Eyes Up. And Eyes Up takes multiple functions within the teacher tool. And what it can do, you can see here right now, I can't actually use this device. I'm pretty much locked into the screen that I'm on. So the teacher can now finish with whatever she's busy with, come to Kate, have a word with her, and then when ready, put this device into eyes down, and all of a sudden the device is accessible and Kate can carry on. Another great part of that is, let's say, for example, a teacher would like to do something in the front of the class. She can put every device into Eyes Up. It'll lock down all the devices in class. No need to close the flap of a device, and then some of them log out and some of them go into sleep mode, and then you've got to spend 5-10 minutes trying to get everyone back on track. You can put the entire class into Eyes Up, teach in front of the class, and when you're ready, put them into Eyes Down, and that device is open and ready again to be used. So just some great tools to be able to manage the way these devices are used in class. So, another challenge that sometimes springs up is you've got a group of 8 or 9-year-olds in a class, for example, and I'm sure you can imagine getting a group of 15, 20, 39-year-olds onto one web page can really break continuity of a lesson. So, to ask a 9-year-old, please go to Wikipedia, for example, and the first challenge is getting them to spell Wikipedia, so you're going to waste that time trying to spell Wikipedia. What the teacher can do is actually go into tab control here, type in Wikipedia again, wikipedia.org, hit enter, and what it's going to do on that device, if I just close it, okay, what it's going to do on that device, it's actually going to launch the tab and launch where they need to be and get all your students very quickly onto the same tab. So it's an awesome way to be able to keep continuity in a lesson. And if the teacher wants to take it a step further, they can even pre-plan these pieces of content that they would like to share. So here you can see I've got a YouTube video that I'm going to use in my lesson, and I've got an article on Rome in Wikipedia, or even a test within Google Classroom that I want them to go on. I can very quickly just say Rome Wikipedia, push it down, and what's going to happen here is actually going to launch that tab. I can then close whatever else I don't want them to be on, and they'll all be launched onto the tab that I want them to be here, which is that Wikipedia article on Rome. So as you can see, it's really going to help that continuity. It's really going to help the flow of the lesson. So those are some of the tools that you can use. And I want to go back again to just Kate. Perhaps Kate keeps going onto a website and trying to look up Fortnite or on Epic Games. The teacher can also whitelist and blacklist specific websites during their lesson. So let's say Kate, for example, keeps going on to Epic Games. I can quickly have a look at this and then add Epic Games as a URL here. So the next time this lesson starts and Kate tries to access again, I can make sure that she doesn't have access to that during this lesson. So it's giving the teacher the ability to self-manage a bit and actually take control of what can be browsed in their class during any time. And I think one of the powerful tools on Mobile Guardian right now, especially for teachers, is the activity timeline. So what the activity timeline is it's a snapshot of exactly what the student was browsing during this lesson, and it's recorded from the start of the lesson towards the end of the lesson. And what teachers like about this is that, during a lesson, the primary goal of a teacher as they're going about their lesson is to teach and give support to students. So having a teacher being distracted by walking around and trying to get a device working here or taking action here, it doesn't help when you're trying to deliver that lesson. What the timeline allows a teacher to do is actually retroactively, after the lesson, straight afterwards, later during the day, it gives the teacher the ability to see which students perhaps need some additional assistance. So let's say, for example, there was a test or that they wanted them to do or an activity, and Kate took, on average, perhaps 10 minutes longer than all the other students to finish. The teacher can see that she's taken that long and then try and assist Kate afterwards, or, in the next lesson, perhaps take Kate through that section again. Another way I've seen it used, which is quite funny, is a teacher was going on annual leave for a couple of days, and there was a substitute teacher coming in, and the students knew that the teacher makes use of activity timeline, and she actually said to her students, don't think that you can go ahead and just cause trouble while I'm not here and not browse, because I'm going to be checking this activity timeline every day. And if I see that you're causing trouble, I'm going to come and moan at you during the next lesson. So, for different teachers, it has different functions. But I think from the ability to see which students perhaps need a bit of extra help or some TLC, it does give you that insight. And you can even take that a step further by going into Kate's profile as under the teacher students here, and having a look at her browsing history. So what would happen here traditionally, and let's say, for example, Kate kept on going on YouTube, kept on being distracted, what the teacher would then need to do is say, okay, I need to escalate this to the principal or the guidance counselor, and we need to take action against Kate. She would have to send an email to the IT admin, hey, could you please go pull Kate's browsing history from my lesson at 3 o'clock and send it over to me. What the teacher tool allows you to do is actually get access to this information just for their class, and the teacher can now go take a screenshot and send that over. It takes some of the stress off the IT admins, takes some of the pressure, and it really allows the teachers to self-manage and self-govern within their class. So it's a really powerful tool, and I think this is really where we make such a difference within schools with Mobile Guardian. Just to touch on, just to touch on some of the features to support Chromebooks in your class. Obviously, live screen views on the classroom tool is really important. Tab control and push into a device. That direct teacher to student messaging. Just on that, at the moment, it's one-to-one messaging. So from the teacher down to the student. It is in our feature request to come up to allow students to be able to reply. So that is one of our upcoming features that'll give the students the ability to reply to a teacher, but it's not available just yet. The Eyes Up feature, which allows teachers to, like I said, deliver something up front and then put devices back into a workable state, and then student browser analytics and the ability to self-manage. So that activity timeline, student browser history, the teacher now has access to this and can make use of it. So that's really the teacher tool summarized, and a little introduction to the teacher tool. Obviously, it's a bit more in-depth, and should you wish to have a conversation after this and with me, I can take you through a bit more of an in-depth demo at that stage. So I want to move on to using Mobile Guardian for Chromebooks. So this is more geared towards the MDM side and the MDM tool and managing these devices from an admin point of view. So what you're seeing right now is the Mobile Guardian admin dashboard. You can see it's quite different to the teacher tool. There's a lot more options of what you can do. And what you're seeing right here is just essentially a landing dashboard. Excuse me, it allows you to see what's happening within your environment across all of your devices. So you can see here, what are the top websites being visited? What are my OS versions? So I've got an Android, a Chromebook, I've got an iOS device in here. What's the block categories being visited? And it's like I said, it's just a nice place to see as a whole what's happening in the school and what kids are searching for. If you want to then take it a step further, what I was talking about earlier with that creating that link with the JSON file, that API, you're able to sync your students across. It'll give you some information on whether they're set up in a grade, whatever tags you might have, when last they've been active, as well as what device they're currently signed into. Inside here as the admin, you'll get some information once again on the device and information on the student. So you can see here, currently I live in Cape Town, South Africa. You can see right now this Chromebook next to me, Kate's Chromebook, is here in Parkland or Bloberg with me, and I also have access to some of this information. So what's great about this is that with devices going home, there's always a possibility that a student loses one, that a student breaks one, or anything like that happens. What you now have is the ability to very quickly get things like a serial number, an IMEI number, see the IP address that this device has. Should you need to lodge an insurance claim or at least report it, you have this information on hand, even if that device does go missing. Another cool part is the ability for an admin to message this device. So let's say you need the student to bring it into the computer lab. I can, as the admin, say, when you're here again, please bring... please bring this to the lab, and this message will then shoot down to Kate's Chromebook. It'll pop up so that they'll know the next time they're in school, please bring it to the lab so that you can do it. You can also disable the device as well as send a refresh command if you need to. Another great way to centrally manage these Chromebooks is the ability to see what applications are currently installed. So what you might find, as students are taking these home, or even if they're at school, they might come and a teacher might say, Kate's missing this maths application. She's the only one missing it. Can you please have a look? With this view, you're able to see every single installed application on this device, and you'll be able to find the application that's missing. So this could be an application that you've pushed down from Chrome console, and you'll be able to see very quickly if it's installed correctly. If it's not installed, you can just go ahead and sync the missing applications, wait for it to download, send another message to the device and say, please check and let me know, and then you can obviously take it further from there. So once again, just a little snapshot into the browser. And I think the most important thing here with our web filter and the way the commands run through the user profile and not the device. So because it's an extension, on the Chromebook, all of those commands and all of the restrictions are going to apply to the user and not the device. So it doesn't matter whether Kate signed into her Chromebook. It doesn't matter whether Kate signed into Thomas's Chromebook or Michael's Chromebook. It doesn't make a difference. Her history is always going to be tracked according to her name. So it's never going to mistake Michael's history with Kate because of the way that we obviously apply our profiles. And you do then have access to this. And then also, most importantly, location tracking and seeing how this device has moved. So you're able to see in the last week, where has this device been in the last month? Where has it been in the last quarter? How has this device moved and how long has it been somewhere? So right now you can see for the last 15 minutes, it's been here next to me since the last check-in. So I now have a reference of where this device has moved to. Another great part, just to show you the way the link works and how we bring the data across. So just give me a moment. I was talking about the JSON file and that API link. You can see here, once we've created that connection between your Google for Education console and Mobile Guardian, the data you bring across will be here. So you can see here's my OUs for students or users and my OUs for devices. So if you only want specific devices to come through and from a specific OU, you'll sync those across and then that will then appear on Mobile Guardian. You can also set up automatic sync. So if you are adding users or devices every term, you can set this up to happen exactly how you want it to, and you'll bring that data across. So that's the Mobile Guardian dashboard in terms of admin and some of the things you can do in terms of that. But where it gets really cool now is when you plug in our Mobile Guardian cloud-based web filter, and you get into this via the profile section. So I'm going to jump into the profiles and to the web filter. And the way that we position this add-on tool for the MDM is with our standard web filter and with our premium web filter. And I'm going to go through the differences between the two and kind of how they apply and how they work. So with the standard web filter, you get access, obviously, to the ability to switch it on. And you also have the ability to force and inject safe search option to the Google Chrome browser. So you're able to force safe search no matter what. So even if they try and search something, it will make sure that Google applies safe search to it, and then they won't be getting access to anything they should have. And what this is going to allow you to do once the filter's on is to be able to whitelist and blacklist. So you can see here we have multiple categories on what we block for and how it's blocked. And pretty much you can build up this environment to how you want it to work. So you can see here, for example, I just want to show you, I've gone ahead and I've blocked YouTube. I've blocked audio and video streaming. So in my school, I don't want anyone streaming Netflix. I don't want anyone streaming Spotify. The only thing I want in my school is YouTube. And I want the kids to be able to access YouTube. And I just want to show you. So you can see I've whitelisted YouTube here. And I want to show you something interesting with our URL checker and kind of how our profiles apply. So you can see here, according to the whitelist and blacklist you set up, it's currently blocked. It should be blocked. And if you didn't have the whitelist in, they wouldn't have access. But because I've gone ahead and manually whitelisted it, it will allow YouTube to actually work. Because the whitelist is always going to override the blacklist, it's going to allow you to create quite a bespoke environment and quite a unique browsing environment that you want. So you'll find in the beginning that you'll have this set up as you need, but then what's going to happen is students going to come and say, Mr. Admin, we need access to YouTube, but it's blocked. Then you can go in and whitelist that if you want to, and essentially organically grow your whitelist. Another way I've seen it work is IT admins have pretty much blocked everything they want. They then ask the teachers, what do you need access to and how long do you need access to? The teachers then send that through and they can whitelist specific websites or even whole domains if you need to. So if you use the entire Google suite in your Google for Education and you want to make sure Meet is always available, Classroom is always available, you can essentially add a wildcard domain and whitelist the entire domain. So no matter what they use within Google, it will always allow it to push through. Even if audio video streaming has Google Meet, because you've whitelisted the entire domain, it will push meat through, and the kids can only make use of that. So it's a great way to ensure that not only when these devices are at school, that they're adhering to your policies, but also when they leave and they go home or connect at Starbucks or a coffee shop, that they still can't get access to gambling websites, any investing websites, however you want to build it. It's ensuring that via the cloud, it's pushing it down, and that these devices are always safe. So that is what's covered in the standard filter. It gives you that ability. You can take it a step further with the premium filter, and there's two tools that come into play here. The first one being our YouTube filter, which allows schools to be able to make use of YouTube and also use YouTube as a tool. So a lot of schools like to be able to use YouTube. A lot of schools want to include it in the classroom, but they don't want kids to be distracted by it, because kids will be kids and they'll go search whatever they want. You as the admin can now create a YouTube experience in the school that you would want. So you could say, for example, because all videos should be categorized on YouTube when the creators upload them, we obviously plugged into YouTube's categories, and you can pretty much blacklist anything you want and blacklist all these categories. You could even go as far as to blacklist every single category and maybe just have education. And let's say you only want specific channels available, you can whitelist channels. So you can say, I want everything blocked, but I only want the history channel, and I only want dinosaur channel, or this channel, or how-to channel. And you can add specific channels that the kids can access. Here you can see, I don't like Jake Paul, get rid of him, we don't want him in our school. We can blacklist Jake Paul's channel and it won't allow anything through, and even specific videos you can have. So it's just a great way to make use of YouTube, but still make sure that the kids can't go access anything that shouldn't, any videos on YouTube that kids shouldn't be seeing. You can ensure that it doesn't happen. And then I think my favorite part of the premium tool is our keyword filters. And what this is exactly what it says, the ability to filter keywords. So you can see here we have 1,175 predefined keywords that we make use of. I'm not going to read some of them because you can imagine I don't want to read this on the recording, but you can see we pretty much have keywords that Mobile Guardian and our global keywords that we've added that are set here so students can't access. And I think what's great about this is it allows a school to add their own keywords and anything else that might pop up. One example of this is, I think it was last year or the year before, was that whole YouTube thing with Momo, and kids were going ballistic, and as kids would do, believe in everything they see. You're able to then add Momo and as a keyword, and it'll block anything associated to Momo. If they try and search it, if they try and look for it on YouTube, it's going to stop it. Another great way of how I've seen this being used is some schools want kids to be able to access news websites. So let's say they give them access to BBC or Sky News or whatever, but they don't want the kids to be able to see articles relating to terrorism or violence or sexual acts or anything like that. You can filter out those keywords on that website. So let's say the student goes on to bbc.co.uk, for example, and they try and open an article about terrorism. As soon as it picks up that keyword, it'll block that article and the student won't have access, because there's obviously a good side to news websites and there's a bad side that the kids don't need to see. So you're able to create a custom filtering for your school, where with the blacklist and the whitelist, it's pretty black and white. It's either it's on or it's off. With the keyword filter, you're able to keep the website on, but make sure they can't access information that they shouldn't. So that's a very brief intro into the MDM side and the web filtering side. So you can see here with our web filter, you're able to filter by website category or URL. You're able to make use of the YouTube filter with our premium tools, as well as the keyword filter with our premium tools. You can also blacklist and whitelist on the fly. So what that means is, let's say, for example, a website's blocked that you need access to. The students can request access. It'll say this page is blocked by Mobile Guardian. If you need access, click here. It'll then spring up an alert, and you can go and check it out. You can actually go visit that page that they're requesting access and make sure that it is a legitimate page, and then you can whitelist it or say, actually, you know what, this should be blacklisted, and go ahead and cancel it. But most importantly, because it's cloud-based, it allows you to uphold your e-safety policy, whether these devices are at school or whether these devices are at home. It's pretty cool. I think this is where schools have also seen such great success when and such safety in knowing that they can send these devices home without a worry that the kids are going to access anything when they're at home. And then lastly, just our linked parent dashboard. So this is an interesting tool, and it's interesting because more and more I'm finding, and I think some of the schools are finding, that parents want to be more involved, and parents are saying, you're sending these devices home with the kids, but I want my kid to be able to go on Instagram. I want my kid to be able to access this website. So when you have your school filters, obviously you're building it for school and you're building it for the devices. It's impossible for you as an admin to know what Mrs. X wants and what Mr. Y wants at all times. And what was born out of this was our linked parent dashboard. And it's exactly that. It allows parents to be able to build their own browsing environment at home and put some of the responsibility on the parents and take some pressure off the school when it comes to that. So what that looks like, and I'm going to jump into it now, just give it a second to load. So with your Mobile Guardian MDM license, you actually get access to this, and you're able to allow parents to manage these school devices or one-to-one devices from their home. So parents can now set up their own web filtering rules, their own browsing experiences, and essentially allow what they want or not allow what they want. So you can see, once again, good old Kate over here. Here's her device. It's linked to the parents. The parents get to see where this device is. So I don't really live in a river. I live right over here. Google thinks I live here, but I don't. And you're able to see where this device last checked in. I'm also able to, like I was saying, build my own browsing rules. So I can go into here, into the saved content, and you can see it looks exactly the same as the school's dashboard. And the parents can then go ahead and create their own whitelist and blacklisting. Obviously, if you have the premium tool, they'll have access to the YouTube filter as well. And the parents can now take some responsibility and let those devices, even if the parent says, I don't care, my kid can browse whatever they want, at least you know that that the parent has this tool available, but also with your baseline profile from the school in the background. Even if the parents try and switch it off from their end, your device is still going to be covered. They're still not going to be able to access pornography. They're still not going to be able to access violent content. This is just allowing the parents a little bit more freedom when it comes to what they want their kids to browse at home. I think the best feature about this, though, is rules. And what rules is essentially it's a way for parents to set up how these devices work when they're at home. So let's say, for example, the parents set up this, and it's called homework time. What you can do is you can pretty much blacklist every category that is here. So if I set this to high, for example, I can do this, add every single category, and then I can whitelist specific websites. So let's say I only want them to have access to Google Classroom. I only want them to have access to Wikipedia and historychannel.com or something like that. I can make sure that during that 4 till 5, they only have access. They need to do their homework. They can't go and browse Instagram or Facebook. And then I can give them a free time rule, say from 7 till 8, where pretty much they can go on Instagram, they can go on Facebook, they can go on YouTube, and then come 9 o'clock, I can even take it a step further if I create a rule and say, when it hits 9 o'clock for Kate, I want this to be sleep time. And I'll take it that. I can say, let's do it when it's at home, and I want it to go here, and I create this profile. What's so cool about sleep time is I can go here, go into the save content, enable the filter, but block all traffic. So what this means is now, Kate can't sit till 3 o'clock in the morning browsing the internet. When it hits 9 o'clock, it blocks all browsing traffic to this device, and Kate can't even go surf the net. So it's just allowing parents to make sure that this device doesn't keep them awake till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's a great way to make sure that the kids go to sleep and they're not distracted by that. So this is our linked parent dashboard. Like I mentioned, it's part of the MDM tool, and it's a great way for schools to be able to go ahead and allow parents some of the responsibility of managing kids when they're at home, but also give parents that flexibility to have their own restrictions and their own rules. Because like I said, it's impossible for you as the admin to please every single parent with one profile or one baseline profile. It's never going to work. And this tool is a great way to add a bit of extra value to these devices when they come home. So you can see it allows parents to control usage. There's bespoke filtering they can apply. You can create rules for each home. But most importantly, as a school, it's also scalable. So you can start with a group of 10 parents and get them going, for example. And then when ready, you can just continue to scale this up. It's just a matter of inviting that group of parents, training them on how to use it, and then moving on to the next group. So it's a great solution that schools can make use of. So that's a very, very brief overview of Mobile Guardian and some of the tools that we use. There's a lot more that I can get into. And what I'm going to encourage you to do, is head over to Mobile Guardian if you haven't, and go sign up for a free trial. Go ahead and obviously pick what devices you want to use and sign up for our free trial. It's 14 days and you get access to the Pro Tool, and give us a shot. I believe in proof is in the pudding. I believe in, letting someone make use of our tools and get a real feeling for it themselves, because I guarantee you, once you start seeing what we can do and some of the tools that we use and how they can improve your school and improve how these devices are used, you're going to be blown away. And I really do encourage you to go sign up. And then once you've signed up, if you'd like to have a chat with me, please give me a shout. Pop me a mail. My email will go out after this as well. And we can discuss your environment. Perhaps you have 100 iPads and 200 Chromebooks, and you want to figure out how can you manage all these devices within one dashboard. We can figure out some of the uniqueness of your school and build an experience that you need. So yeah, we also run POCs. So should you need a little bit more time after those 14 days to upload a bit more, we're always happy to give you an extra 2 weeks to get a proper feel, load more devices on. At least at that stage, I always believe, we might find that we're not a good fit for one another. Maybe there's something else you wanted to do. It even allows us the opportunity to say, actually, I don't think that this is going to do what you wanted to do, so that when we do eventually kick off and move on, we'll have everything set up and we'll be good to go quite quick. Thank you so much again for joining, guys. I know that was quite a lot to take in, but I'm super excited. I love this product and I love what it does. So please feel free to reach out to us. Please feel free to go sign up for that trial. And I hope to see you guys on the platform soon. Have a great day and an even better evening. Cheers.